Okay, working on the tube tester today. Gonna retrofit all the resistors. And so here's a schematic, and there's a discrepancy in the schematic where we show 4.7K on each side of the meter. Well, I say each side of the meter. They go to the same lead on the meter, but each side of that circuit. And then down here in the parts list, we actually show 47K and 4.7K, so they're different. So we're gonna pull out the old ones and check them and replace them. I got all the new values already. And so we're gonna start with the 47K. Let's get it in the camera. Okay, and I got all metal film resistors for this. Get the old Weller. What the heck's going on here? They wrapped it. So physical connection. Unnecessary. Leads to bad solder joints. Things seem like they're hooked up and they're not. Nope. You know what, we'll get the solder sucker and pull all that out of there and see what we can do. See if that doesn't help us release this. As much of that solder off of that as possible. And we'll trim those ends. And we've got some elevated jam tracks playing in the background. Hopefully Tom's doing okay. Last I saw, he was in the hospital for some knee surgery. He makes some really cool tracks. These are just jam tracks I downloaded from him, but he's got a channel on YouTube, and he plays leads as well on each of the tracks. He'll do a little bit of lead at the end, just to give you an idea of where he was going with it, and he's actually a really amazing player. Okay, so there we go. Those are isolated now, so we'll clean up the tip. And I want to measure what was in there, see how far off they were. I was getting a really, really low reading when I checked it, but I think that was just due to feedback from other components in the circuit. There's my meter right there. So we should have 47K and 4.7K. Let's see what we got. So this one should be 47K. Let's stick the meter out there. I don't know if that'll be in the picture or not. Let's take a look. We'll try and move that around a little. Yeah, that's good, but I can't see. Okay. So that one's actually showing 4.7. and that's supposed to be 47, I believe. And this one is also showing 4.7. So those are definitely mixed up. If the parts list was right. If not, I got plenty of 47s too. I mean 4.7s. Alright, so let's see if we can get this out of here without messing anything else up. I'll just heat that up and hit it with the solder sucker, and we'll pull everything off that lug that we can and see if we can figure out which way they ran that. Clean the tip every time. Actually, I probably don't need that again for a minute. Yeah, so that cleaned up pretty good. We'll heat that up and push it down and see if it is attached to that crossover piece. It is. Okay, that's kind of what I thought they did. And I think what I'm going to do there is just leave the lower part of that lead going across. Snip that resistor off there. Flux. Somewhere around there. I'll have my 4.7s. So the guy I purchased this from said it was reading low according to his tests. Let's just make sure that we got 4.7 on this. I'll put that in the 20k ohm range. Don't know how much of this is on the video because okay, so that's showing 4.73. These are all 5%. This one, I believe we tested that already, and we are showing 4.7 to it. We got that. More physical connection. Oh, we got it. Good. Flux on that tip. Do a little tug test on there, make sure they're happy. There it go. Let's trim those up. Okay, so that's good. Here's the first two down. Okay, we're back. I'm going to be moving stuff around here, so we'll try and zoom out a little bit. Which way? Out. So that I can move things around and still have it in the camera's eye. Alright. Let's see through my magnifier, because my eyes are old now. Still have great color perception, but focus is little to be desired. Okay, so that takes care of those two. I have to pull that out of the way for a minute. Another mechanical connection. And let's try and push it through. Come on. Jeez, crow. A lot of solder on there. Alright, we'll cool that off. Mighty hot. And we'll trim the hook off. Pull that out. No, so that's either the 1.5K or the 10K. So that's 10K. I'm guessing. Okay, that's the 330. That's the 1.5K. Boy, that's out, huh? And that should be the 820. And that's 920. Okay, so we got what, 10K here, right? Yep, so let's get that 10K out of the package. Okay, there's our 10Ks. Sadly, I lost a lot of elbow room with this light. But I need that magnifier to see what the heck I'm doing nowadays. I'll keep that out. Get the other ones, okay. So, I'll shut that off and save our batteries. And let's probably take the solder sucker to this one, huh? Some of that off of there. Awful lot on there. We'll hit that again. again. Let it cool for a minute so we don't put too much heat into the switch. Nice. That worked out pretty good. Can I see that? And had to get this done. Yo, that's heavy. That's why I use these. Rudy. I had to get this in a position where I can see and move. A little bit of it. It's just not going to happen. Okay. That should be much easier to take off of there now. Almost. Reading on that, I think that was the 1.5. No, that's a 330. That's measuring 357. Get a good look at it here in the light. So it's measuring 356. So that wants to be pretty close there. Do it about the way it was. Damn, I need a little bit more room to just magnify it to work. Let's see if you're still in the shot at all. Everything's in the way. Yeah, it's probably going to be a pretty terrible video. Sorry. Yeah. Right there, looks good. Look at them crow all over the place. We'll get that in position and put the hemostats on there for weight, just to keep it where we want it. What a horror show. Come on. You got it. Go that way. Put it just like that. That should do the trick. Get a little flux on the tip. Okay. That's going to be tough to get to without disturbing anything else. Switch hands. Push that out of the way. Should have that thing there. That was no good. The way I was holding it, the solder sucker came in half. So basically I'm putting the heat in through the wire on the resistor, trying not to heat up the Again, they made a full loop out of that. Trying not to heat up that lug from the switch, but let's throw that switch back down in the D position, just so that there's something backing it up. And then I'd have to grab it with my hemostats and try and untwist it some. up on the thing. Just can't work on it and see at the same time. Here we go. I saw that move. Yep. A bunch of it flowed right back in there though. Damn. I'm gonna kind of be easy on the old cloth wire. That's just one hell of a loop they got on there. Still way too much solder on that. Nope, ain't gonna happen. Okay, not really sure where that ran out, but we've got our 4 resistors wired to the switch. And that's for the heaters, select the heater voltages, I do believe. And we'll pull those through here now, all 3 of those. I'll flux on the tip, and we'll flow this baby right out nice. And you got all 3. Looks good. Okay, so she's all back together now. And we'll plug it in. Hopefully no smoke comes out of it. Okay, so far. Alright, we got a 6 CG7 in the pin straightener. Switches are set to A. 3. This will go to E. And 2. And socket A. Okay, let's see. Here comes the power. Lights on. That's a good sign. I know this to be a good tube. I see heaters. No shorts. And nothing on the meter. Well, that's depressing. We're on normal. So, one resistor was changed to a different value. Let me grab the schematic up. Okay, so in the schematic we showed two 4.7 ohm, 4.7K ohm resistors for R7 and R8. But in the parts list, R7 is listed as 47K. 8 is 4.7. So I'm going to go back in, I guess, and desolder this 47K for R7 and replace that with the 4.7K. And that should at least put us back to where we were as far as all the values go. The only difference will be now it's all 5% tolerance resistors, all metal film instead of wire wound. But, alright. Well, that's sad, but no smoke come out of it, so that's good. We'll be back. Okay, so just pulled out the 47K, got another 4.7 here ready to go. So, I'll put a little hooky on that. Okay, those are both in there, set. So with the new resistors, it works fine, and stuff that tested at 70 before is now showing 100. So it's all good. Alright, we'll take a look at what we got on video here before I button this up. It seems as though it stopped recording. I don't know if I missed stuff or not. But alright, it works. I'm happy. I'll try and get this good. Okay, so the 47K resistor was replaced with the 4.7K. I've got the 6 CG7 there. Let me get my specs out again for that. You want 3 E and 2. Okay, so this has 2 tests. So we're on A, 3, E, 2, and we're in socket A. Line up our pins. Pretty loose fit. Yeah, I see heaters. Look at that baby go, right up. I think that'll go to 100 when it gets hot enough. 95, 96 and climbing. So I guess we can say that's a good tube. And we knew that was a good tube, but now the meter's reading where it should. Okay, and for test 2, we go on position 8 and 7. So this will be the other side. That's pretty loose. That socket might need to be addressed. And got heaters. Boom. Right to 100. 99, 100. Right there. So, good deal. It works. So that was nice. Got rid of all the wire wound resistors and replaced them with metal film. Used all 5%, even though schematic calls for 10 except for one position. So you will get the accuracy that we can. And so that's great. So now I'm going to grab my Sovtek 7027As and we'll throw those through the tester and see how they look now with the tester, you know, much more accurate than it was before. Okay. Okay, so we're back. Camera was being funny there. Okay, so this is my batch of Sovteks. I got 4 and 2 by manufacture dates. So let's take a look at the 4 first. They all have a 52 on them. So let's see what they do. We are set. A on switch 1, 8 on switch 2, E, and 6. And these go in socket D. Yeah, just about 80, and that's it looks like. Just starting to barely get warm. I mean barely. And up there 79 creeps to 80. So that might be it, is 80. And that's good. Alright. We'll take it. We'll take this and throw it. Switch number 2 to position 1. Make sure we don't have any grid short, no leakage. So that looks good. I see no glow. I don't believe we do a test there. That's just a short test. So, okay. We'll put that in there. Just barely warm to the touch. Okay, so we'll call that 80. I'll just flip this to 1 and do a grid test, which I'm sure is okay. Make sure. And I'll write 80 on this box as well. So no grid short. Okay. Put this back to 8. And so now, just for a quick comparison before I throw the next Sovtek in there. This is an Amperex. That was the number 3 tube. So this was actually the one that was red plating in the Ampeg I'm working on still. Okay. Just barely see the faintest little glow on those filaments. What? That's saying it's got a grid leak. Well, that's no good, huh? That was just a bad connection. Well, that's kind of sketchy. That makes me wonder if that's what was going on in the amp. If we got some oxidized pins there, maybe the grid wasn't getting the negative voltage. But watch this needle compared to those Sovteks. I mean, they just jump. So that's interesting that was showing a short briefly. And these are all set right. Now look at that, 100. And these are old, but this is made in USA. Okay, so that's all warmed up now. We pull on the quality button. That's right up to just about 70 on the scale. And that's well within the good range. Okay. So for ha-has, let's throw in a couple of these. There's a, it says 12AU7. Let's see what we got in here. So I had bought an auction with a bunch of tubes. 12AU7. It's got the crap mounted on the side of it. Stick it in the pin straightener. Pull out the paperwork. And find us 12. And I highlighted all the tubes that get used in my amp. So that's going to be in here somewhere. 17 is the 12 DWs, 12 AU. So 12 AU7s have 2 tests. We start off with 3 and 2. F for the filament. And that's for the AU7. Okay. And that is in socket A. 3, 2, F, A. Okay, we're good to go. Yep, plenty of filament voltage there. No grid leak. No second grid leak test on this. Over 100. Fantastic. Okay, and the other side of it is that a 6 or an 8, I don't know. 8 and 7. Yep, he just come right up on that. Boom, even better. So that's a great AU7. And these are all tubes that the Amperex takes. Let's see, I think I got another AU7 here. This is a tongue saw, 12 AU7A. You see the filament? Certainly not as bright. Again, you know, the USA tubes crank. Look at that. That thing's flying up over 100. Nice. And what did I say the first one was? 3 and 2. And that's great. So those are both around 120, 110, 120. Actually, I'd say 120 from the distance they went. Okay, and so now I got a DW7, which my amp takes. Yep, and these are the Millards. I bought these off of a guy online. Let's see, sheet right here. For the DW7s, we go on 3 and 2, and 8 and 7 for the second test. So, and that's weird that that does that flash. That's also F on the filament heater. Very loose, that socket's very loose. I gotta look at that, but there we go, is $110 on that. Or 105 maybe. And then what did they say? Second test is 8 and 7. And that's 99, 100. And climbing. Yep. So that's over 100, 101, 102. Very good. So, there we go. We've seen CG, 6 CG7s. The only thing I haven't tested is a AX, 12AX7A, which I don't know if I have any pictures of those. Let's take a quick peek. I got another DW7 we got here. Oh yeah, so here's a XA7A. This is a GE tube. So we'll put that in the straightener and look that up in the specs. And so I think I got a couple extras on those too. So 12XA7A. We want 8 and 7 for the first test and 3 and 2 for the second test. Okay, so we're set. Find the gap in the pins. And this is a GE tube. And up over 100. Nice. We got the 110. Pin the needle. Okay, and then the next test was 3 and 2, I believe I said. Filaments come right up in those. A little slower on the uptake, but it's there. 100. Oh yeah. Yep, so there's a 105 on that, 104. So very good. And I believe this is also XA7. XA7A, 12AX. I always say XA. 12AX7A. And this is a GE as well. Yep. The filaments come right up. And it goes right up 100. And I had bought 12XA, is that right? I always say it wrong. AX7s for the amps, yeah. And so I ended up with an extra one. And then we found that there was a AX7 where there should have been a DW7 in the amp that kid gave me years ago. The one that's red plating. Now I'm curious though, because it could just be a contact that was creating that red plate. It might just be where the pins go into the socket. It might not be getting the negative voltage for the grid. So that's well over 100 there too. So, nice. So I got a couple of extra 12XAs, AXs. One of these days I'll get it right for my Amperex. So I have extra tubes of everything, which is nice. I'm very happy with the tube tester. When I bought it, the guy said it was reading low. And so it would be nice if I had a high-end Hickok to test against it now. But I imagine it's okay because I used all the right value resistors. Just with 5% tolerance, I used all tighter tolerance resistors, so we should be good. Okay, well, that's my video for the day. tube tester refitted with 5% tolerance resistors. Happy as a clam. Reading stuff good. We solved the mystery on the schematic as to whether or not R8 was supposed to be 47K or 4.7K, and 4.7 seems to be the answer. But yep, that's it. Very good. Now I'm gonna put things away, wash my hands, grab something to eat, and then I'll edit this up and get it up for you guys. Okay? You'll see me in the next one.